Saga. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Many of people I know, including me sometimes, we struggle with emotions like stress, anxiety, or sometimes we don't find purpose in our life. And how can we achieve this sense of well-being in our life in what we do?
Hi, Nita. Thank you for asking this question. You talked about stress, anxiety, losing a sense of purpose. And predominantly, I think what you wanted to understand is how do we achieve overall well-being? I think go about this, if you can just take the term well-being, if you break the two words into the first word, which is well. So you're seeking well-being, that means currently you are unwell. And that's why we seek well-being. This term can also be called as sickness or illness or a disease. In fact, the very meaning of the word disease means dis-ease, not ease. Anything that affects us causes unwellness or disease. So it's most important to understand what is affecting us, which is making us unwell. Now, the second aspect is you use the word being. What do you mean by being? What does it encompass? According to me, when you say the word being, it encompasses broadly your body, your mind, and yourself, which you can call it as an intuitional aspect. So if you combine these two words, the wellness can be categorized in three types of wellness. One is your physical wellness, where you have overcome any of the physical injuries, any of due to genetic conditions, due to your environment, any disabilities, etc. Second, you can look at it from a mental wellness perspective. It means you have overcome any mental factors such as stress, anxiety, anger, emotional imbalances, etc. And the third aspect is your intuitional wellness, where you have overcome any sickness due to the disconnection with your true nature or the true self. And this can manifest in a variety of ways, such as feeling of emptiness, not knowing what to do, etc. So once we achieve wellness across these three pillars, your physical, mental, and intuitional wellness, one can truly be well, or you can say that you have truly achieved an holistic well-being.
Interesting. So could you describe maybe more of the symptoms of the intuitional illness so we can identify them more clearer?
Sure. The intuitional illness or lack of an intuitional well-being can manifest in several ways, such as having a lack of purpose or meaning in life, feeling a sense of disconnection with your own self, the people around you, or the nature around you, a lack of fulfillment or satisfaction. You might have everything that you wanted, a perfect partner, a good job, a nice apartment, but you still feel a sense of there's a lack of satisfaction or fulfillment. Also, symptoms such as having a sense of hopelessness in your life, a lack of empathy or compassion to others, or also a feeling of being stuck or stagnant. So, these are some of the symptoms where you can identify that you're currently lacking an intuitional well being.
Yes, that's interesting because that's why many of us suffer more from mental and intuitional diseases. It's not easy to uncover them. How do we go about it?
No, I think it's true. It's more difficult to directly approach or uncover the subtler aspects, which is your intuitional or mental illness. And that is why we start with the physical body. It is something more, it's easy to diagnose, understand the root cause, and heal. And as your body is healed, once you have achieved more physical well being, it becomes easy to also process your mental well being. And once you have achieved a sense of mental and physical well being, we also approach the intuitional well being. But today, most of us actually stop with achieving a physical well being, and we do not actually aim for achieving a mental or intuitional well being. Until we solve for our intuitional well being, we will not be in harmony with ourselves. We will not achieve an holistic well being.
definitely connected, all these three aspects. But does it also mean that the subtle illnesses are more stronger, perhaps, than the gross ones?
Yeah, I think you're correct. The subtler ones are definitely more stronger than the tangible ones, and that is why today you notice people suffering more from their mental problems or feeling a lack of purpose or meaning in life. So let's take an example here. Let's say you have injured your foot or toe, so you're crying in pain. But your friend comes to you and informs you of an accident in your family. Soon your mind gets distracted, and now you start crying about the loss or an accident in your family, and you actually forget your pain in the feet. So it says that your mental illness or the shock that you received is slightly more stronger than your physical injury that you had. Now, let's say that the person who was affected in your family was a very close relationship to you. So, over time, this mental illness actually transforms into an intuitional illness as you start having a sense of hopelessness in your life, you start losing your meaning in your life. So here you notice that that takes over and that persists over your mental and physical illness. So definitely the intuitional illness is extremely important to be solved for because it is the strongest among these three.
Understood. And how do we heal these more tangible illnesses, that is our body and mind? Interesting to divide it to these three phases. How do we work across?
We actually need to address all the three phases. They're important to address. If we took only rest and did not look at our inputs and activities, this should actually make us feel completely recovered by just taking some rest. For example, if you go on a vacation where you take rest, after you come back, you should be perfectly all right and you should achieve your well being. But today, most of us, at least the friends that I know, just within a few weeks of coming back from a vacation, we feel burnt out again and we start planning our next vacation. Also, the rest that we take, is it actually a rest? For example, in a vacation, you might sit next to a beach and grab a beer. Maybe that is giving you a temporary relaxation for your mind and your senses, but obviously we are adding more toxins into the body which might create more physical illness going forward. So today we are actually jumping from a rest phase to rest phase without addressing the other two phases, which is your input phase and output phase. And it is important to look at all these three phases in tandem so that we can achieve an holistic well-being.
So now that you explain about the three aspects of the well-being, the intuitional, the mental, and the physical, and you explain about the three phases of the mind, the input, output, and the rest. How can we work with it? How can we heal the illnesses?
I think this is where it gets a bit interesting. There are typically three principles or key factors that all of us can watch out and follow. And I feel this is where most of us get it wrong. If I have to talk to you about these three principles, the first one is, what is the vibe or the energy of the place, the things, and also the food you consume or the activities that you engaged in. Does it match with your vibe or does it not match with your vibe? The second principle is about, we typically follow the general tips and recommendations given by various articles, doctors, nutritionists, but we do not recognize and nurture the uniqueness of our being. For example, in the ancient cultures, Egyptian, Indian cultures as well, in the kings and the courtsmen, they used to have their entire life designed around their own body personality and their mind personality. From everything, the perfume that they wear was customized for them. the soaps that they used for their bathing, um, the clothes which was comfortable for them, the food that they ate. So it's very important to honor and the uniqueness of our being. And the third principle is for us to look at it from a perspective is what we do today, our activities, our habits, our lifestyle, are we controlling them or they controlling us? Um, is the mind controlling us? Or are we controlling it? So it's also important to look at it from that principle.
Maybe can you give examples of how we can apply this on our body?
Yes, sure. I think if you recollect the three phases that we discussed for the body, we had the food, which is input stage. We had the exercises, the work we do, which is activity, and finally the sleep, that is the rest phase. So when it comes to food, have you ever thought about how you make the decisions on what food to consume? Most of us typically given to the cravings of our tongue or the taste, and we choose our food basis that. Some of us choose the food basis what is available closest to us or what's easy to cook, and some of us also follow a diet basis, a podcast basis, a nutritionist or what doctors say. But have you noticed we are missing a very key element or a factor here, which is we do not feel the vibe or the energy of the food that we have eaten. For example, have you ever analyzed after eating your food, how does the food feel on you? What is the impact that it has on your own digestion system? How do you feel with your energy? Do you feel more tired after eating this particular food? Do you feel more sleepy? Do you feel that it actually creates more restlessness in your mind? So every food that we eat emits a certain vibe, and this impacts both our body and mind. We, however, typically today only look at the nutritional value of the food. For example, if I consume milk, I look at okay, I drink milk because it has high protein, high fat, high carbohydrates. But what about the vibe of drinking that milk on with the vibe of my energy? Maybe it is causing me some bloating in my stomach or a gas, or does it increase my concentration? So it is very important to be aware of the vibe of the food and its impact on you. Similarly, if you apply the second principle, which is on following the uniqueness of your being, I have personally come across so many articles in the internet. I'm sure you might have also come across this. Is what should you consume after waking up? Some articles say we should only drink water. Some articles say we should drink warm water. Some say warm water with lemon. Some say add ginger and honey. There are numerous options, and these are all given by qualified doctors and nutritionists. But most of us actually just read one of these articles and start following it without really again looking at how is this working for me? Is this suiting me? Is this not suiting me? So it's very important to be cognizant of your own unique body and your mind characteristics. And finally, if you look at the third principle about control, is the foods that you eat, is it controlling you or are you controlling it? What I mean by that is, for example, if you have an habit of consuming coffee every day and you stop the coffee, are you having a sense of restlessness? Are you having crazy headaches? That means the coffee has had an influencing or a controlling effect on you, creating a dependency. Um, so one good way to find out if you have created any dependencies is by stopping it for a few days, like stopping what you consume for a few days. Even the activities that you do, you can try stopping it for a few days and see whether it has created dependency on you.
Thanks, it's really helpful to understand that, and for a long time I didn't think about those aspects at all while eating And can you also give examples of how can we apply it on our rest and activity in the phase of the body?
Yes, sure. I think just like we have the vibe with our environment, with the people outside us, there is also a vibe within our body and the mind. And the vibe or the energy is not flowing so well due to the accumulation of toxins from our food, our environment, our lifestyle, etc., which is causing various illnesses and affecting our well being. For example, the pollution that fills the air outside also fills the lungs inside. Um, the plastic that fills the oceans outside is also floating on the tissues inside. And how do we remove these toxins and harmonize our energy flows? For example, one can undergo various detoxification programs. There are also other activities such as yoga postures, such as breathing techniques, also other movements like conscious movements, dancing, etc., which can have a significant impact on harmonizing our energy or the vibe inside our body. So it's very important to understand on what do you groove with, which of these activities is something which you feel connected with, and that's nice to pursue it. If you look at the rest phase of the body, it's very interesting. In fact, the most popular books today are on sleep. Simply lying down or taking a nap is not very effective because we do not fully recharge or regenerate our body, as we are often carrying with us a lot of mental and emotional stresses, which is blocking our body's natural healing processes. So we need to let these out so that we can cultivate a feeling of deep relaxation and stillness. Again, there are certain activities which can help you. I think one of the popular ones is the yoga nidra or the yogic sleep, which is very helpful for you to achieve a more deeper relaxation.
A lot of us don't take it in account. How do we feel after we do some activity? Does it feel to rest? And what about the state of the mind? You didn't touch upon this third aspect. How can we improve the intuitional well-being?
I think that's a very interesting and separate topic for us to discuss. But I think once we have relaxed and achieved certain physical and mental well being, that is, relax our body and mind, the intuitional aspect inside us opens up naturally. So for now, I would recommend that you engage in activities where you can let your subconscious mind flow. For example, if you like cooking, if you like doodling, playing an instrument, or any activity where you can flow without instructions, that can open up our creative spaces and enhance our intuition.
Can you help us also with some technical techniques of how to enhance the wellness of body, mind, and the intuitional wellness?
Yes, I think there are a few basic techniques, very simple techniques and short practices that can have significant impact on enhancing the three aspects of our well-being. Maybe we discuss this in the future sessions, but till then, it would be great if you can understand, be more aware about which aspects of the three well-being that you struggle with, your physical, mental, and spiritual, and for each of this identify the root cause, and also try to look at the three phases for your mental and your physical well-being, that is your input stage, your output stage, and your rest stage. And this very activity of being more conscious, being more aware of what we are doing, is going to help you take one step closer to achieving an overall sense of well-being.
Thank you so much, Saga. You gave us a very good idea of setting a blueprint for achieving an overall well-being.
Thank you. It was a pleasure interacting with you.